empiricism. The term empiricism is derived from the Greek word empiria, which means acquainted with. The Latin translation is experientia, which means experience. Empiricism takes experience as the touchstone of truth and meaning. It assumes a stratified form in which the lowest level is issued directly from experience and the higher one is based on the lower level. John Locke, in his book Essay Concerning Human Understanding, surveys the territory of human knowledge. He states that all materials of human knowledge are derived from experience, either of the external world through our sense or our mental life through introspection. Rejecting the Cartesian notion of innate ideas, Locke holds that the mind of human being at the time of birth is like a blank tablet, an unwritten paper devoid of any ideas. All ideas are acquired from experience. Innate ideas hinders the path of free inquiry. True knowledge is to be found by the active employment of human faculties. That is why Locke used the metaphor of tabula rasa or blank slate or empty chamber to refer to the mind of an infant. Epistemology occupies the center position in Lockean philosophy. He examines the nature, origin, validity, and the limits of knowledge. Philosophy is looked upon as the true knowledge of things, including the nature of things, that which man ought to do as a rational voluntary agent, and the ways and the means of attaining and communicating such knowledge. Locke explained the origin of knowledge in terms sensation, reflection, and experience. All objects of our mind are ideas derived from sensation and reflection. Through sensation, the mind is furnished with sensible qualities. Many ideas are formed when our sense organs are affected by external objects. Some other ideas are received by reflection, when we perceive the operations of our mind on the ideas. All our ideas are either simple or complex. Simple ideas are atoms out of which all knowledge is composed. The mind, by its innate power of compounding, comparing, and abstracting, put together simple ideas and make new complex ideas. Simple ideas enter our mind in 4 different ways. Some simple idea enters our mind by one sense only, some by more than one sense, some by reflection, and some other through both sensation and reflection. According to Locke, ideas should be clear, distinct, so as to become knowledge. The most certain knowledge is the perception of agreement or disagreement between our ideas. When this agreement or disagreement of ideas are perceived by direct inspection, it is intuitive knowledge. If it is established indirectly by comparing them with one or more ideas, it is called mediate or rational or demonstrative knowledge. Our knowledge of the particular existence of finite external things goes beyond bare possibility, and this is called sensitive knowledge. George Berkeley upheld empiricism and insisted that all our thoughts exist in the mind. They cannot exist outside mind. The existence of anything consists in being perceived by a mind. The same thing is true of our sensation. For him, existence is identical with perception or esse est percipi. This is termed as subjective idealism. The cause of our sense experience must be an active substance. It cannot be matter because unperceived matter is an abstraction which cannot be believed. Berkeley was convinced of the capacity of human mind to cope with the problem of knowledge. The desire for knowledge can be satisfied by a proper use of our faculties. However, mind is incapable of framing abstract ideas. A general idea is one which, considered in itself, is particular, but which becomes general by being made to represent or stand for all other particular ideas of the same sort. The objects of human knowledge are either actually imprinted on the senses or are perceived by attending to the passions and operations of the mind, or ideas formed with the help of memory and imagination. These ideas are compounded, divided, or merely represented. Besides ideas, there is something which knows or perceives them and exercises diverse operations as willing, imagining, and remembering them. This perceiving, acting, being in mind, spirit, soul, myself, says Berkeley. David Hume, another representative of British empiricism, asserts that knowledge has its source in experience. For him, our knowledge is limited to the world of phenomena. He held that all the materials of our thinking are derived from inward and outward impressions. Lively perceptions are called impressions. When all sensations, passions, and emotions make their first appearance in the soul, impressions are made. All our thoughts or ideas are copies of such impressions. They are less lively perceptions. They arise when we recall impressions on sensation. Impressions are either outward or inward. Outward impressions arise in the soul from unknown causes. Inward impressions are created by our ideas. For instance, we have an impression of heat, of which an idea or a copy remains. The ideas produce new impressions like fear. These again are copied by the memory and imagination. From such impressions, all our knowledge is derived. Knowledge results from compounding, transposing, or diminishing the materials furnished by the senses and experience. Our ideas or thought are not unconnected. They are related together with a definite method and regularity. Different ideas are connected together by the law of association of idea. These are the laws of resemblance, contiguity in time and place, cause and effect. Hume divides human knowledge into relations of ideas and matters of fact. Of the first kind are the truths of geometry and algebra, and also every affirmation which is either intuitively or demonstratively certain. For example, 3 times 5 is equal to half of 30 expressions a relation between these numbers. Propositions of this kind are discoverable by the mere operation of thought. Matters of fact are not ascertained in the same manner. The contrary of every matter of fact is possible. All scientific knowledge and principles such as cause-effect relationship belongs to matters of fact. The knowledge of cause and effect is derived from experience and custom. There is no absolute self-evident knowledge of matters of fact. Our knowledge never reaches absolute certainty. By basing our conclusion on experience, we believe that the future will be like past, but we have no absolute assurance. Epistemological discussions becomes fruitful only when a proper method is employed. In Western philosophy, the modern times saw the emergence of rationalism and empiricism as the two opposing epistemological methods which imbibe scientific spirit. The session shows how various thinkers within the same tradition differs from one another, thereby leading to different approaches within. The initial skepticism of Descartes, monism and pantheism of Spinoza, and monads of Leibniz expounds rationalist method. The empiricist method is expressed in Lockean rejection of innate ideas, Berkeley's subjective idealism and skepticism of David Hume.